This is the big time. This is what they've been planning for. This has been a long time coming, about 6 months into planning from what was being said. And you see this a lot, but it really the contrast here in light of what happened in New York with the officer being killed. That's the problem that I think really is really the political issue here. But I think it's also something, Bianca, we need to think about think about outside what was happening at that quote, $1 million, $25 million fundraiser. Is this protests that were going on. I'm anxious to see how the Democrats are going to deal with Chicago come the summer if this is what they're seeing in protests when you're seeing it around fundraisers. Chicago ought to be really interesting when all of these who are very upset with Joe Biden are going to come together.
They sure are. And we also don't know if there could be some type of surprise there with delegates at the DNC. You know, Lynn, we saw the protests, as Doug's mentioning, outside. We saw them inside. And there's no way really to spin what is happening here. Disastrous for Biden, Michigan polls. But also, let's listen to what Karine Jean-Pierre says when she actually was asked about how he paid tribute to the officer.
President Biden spoke to Mayor Adams and gave his condolences about the tragic killing of Officer Jonathan Diller. The president offered Mayor Adams, the city of New York, and the New York Police Department his full support in the wake of the tragedy.
Oh, so he spoke to the mayor to give his condolences. He sat down, though, for a podcast with Obama and Clinton, hosted by, celebrities like Jason Bateman, and Hunter Biden's just strolling around there. There is just so much messaging here that Americans, they have to be seeing it as clear as day, Lynn.
No, the contrast couldn't be greater, Bianca. And as Mortal Kombat says, choose your fighter. As a New Yorker, I couldn't be more proud of the fact that I work for one of 4 living presidents who was in New York City yesterday. And instead, 3 chose to go and rub elbows with Stephen Colbert and Lizzo. And only 1 chose to go and actually stand in the rain and mourn alongside Jonathan Diller's family, his NYPD colleagues, and his widow and beautiful son, who is too young to even recognize what has happened to him so far. But at the end of the day, there has never been a more staunch supporter of law enforcement than the former president of the United States. And he made sure to pay his respects, as Biden should have done. Biden should have called the family directly instead of calling Mayor Adams.
Well, he never called Laken Riley's family either, wouldn't even utter her name. So this is sort of becoming very clear how they don't want to address certain things that are touching the nation, despite all of us seeing there. Doug and Lynn, I want to change topics for a moment because there are some reports now that the RNC is weighing whether to restrict NBC's involvement, access at the convention. You mentioned Chicago's the DNC, but in Milwaukee, the RNC is this summer. Tell me your thoughts on that. Obviously, the fact they brought her on, then took her off because the host basically had temper tantrums about having to have an opposite viewpoint. Now there could be some serious consequences when it comes to, what they're allowed to kind of do here. Is this a good move, Doug?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, this is the tail wagging the dog over at NBC. We've seen this before, though. They play to the far left. MSNBC, they weighed the choice of getting rid of Ronald McDaniel or basically having a high-profile 2-year-old temper tantrum by all their talent. And, again, here's the thing. If they wanted to push them, I'd like to have seen how many of that talent would actually have put their paychecks at risk to actually move away from it if they thought it was so bad. They're not going to do that. I believe that, frankly, there should be a lot of discussion between Republicans on, do you actually do interviews on NBC? Do you do interviews on MSNBC? And there is a price to pay. And it's not being mean. It's not being, it's just being honest. If you don't want our point of view, even if you like or don't like Ronald McDaniel, the reason here is that she promoted views of conservatives, again, in the Republican Party. Again, whether you agreed with her or not is irrelevant. They made it very clear this was a conservative liberal issue, because if they wanted to make a quote about truth, as Jen Psaki said, she would be very appalled if we just started running clips of her at the White House press podium talking about all the stuff she used to say. She would have never got a job. So let's just be honest about that.